Hey everyone, this is Andreas, and in this video we are going to take a look at top 20 Excel 2016 tips and tricks. These tips will show you some of the most effective ways on how to use Microsoft Excel 2016. Before we get started here today, I'd love to hear from you if you have any great tips that you recommend for beginners or advanced Excel users. So write them down as a comment, and maybe I can take those tips and put them in a different video. Also, down at the description you will find all the worksheets all in one Excel free downloadable workbook with table of contents and a beautiful study progress tracker. Now let's get started.
In this we have three columns. The first is the country of the employee, the second is the employee's name, and the third is the age. We didn't want to repeat each country many times, so we eliminated them. For example, these employees are from Austria, these are from France, etc. If we print the data table, it will look better. Nothing wrong by now. The problem starts if we sort the data, the name for example. Baker Stewart is from Austria. Now highlight column B and click the A to Z button from Data tab. Click Sort and let's find Baker Stewart. We don't even know from which country he is. Obviously, so the empty cell created a problem because of the sorting, of course. Let's undo Ctrl+Z. So we need to fill these cells with the actual country. This also, etc. We got to find an easy way to select only the blank cells from this column. Click on column A, go to Home tab, choose Find and Select, go to Special, and from this dialog box select blanks and OK. We can either press F5 and it will open the same dialog box. Look at the gray cells, they are only the blank cells until the end. Now we want the empty cell to be equal to the cell above it. Let's type equal A2 and be careful, press Ctrl Enter. Because with Enter it will change only A3 cell. We completed the first step to fill the cells with the equivalent countries. But all these cells are formulas, as you can see. How do we convert them into pure text? Pay attention now to this amazing trick. Select column A. With the right click of the mouse, drag the entire column right to column B without releasing the right mouse button, then left. Now release the right mouse button and from this menu select Copy Here as Values Only. It turns the formulas into results, into text. Click and we are done. Now we finish our job. To make the rows columns and the columns rows, or to transpose if you prefer a range of data, you will use the Paste Special feature. In this worksheet we have 4 columns with products in it, and 5 total rows with number of sales and some other useful information. The first step is to select the range to be transposed. In our example it will be from A1 to E6. Then press Ctrl+C to copy the range. Now select the cell that will be the upper left cell for the transpose range, so click A10 cell. And from Home tab, press Paste button and select Paste Special to display the Paste Special dialog box. Choose the transpose option and OK. Keep in mind that the transpose range will include the values but not the formulas if you have. Hiding a worksheet that contains sensitive data is very easy. Simply right-click on any sheet and then select Hide. Notice that it removed from tab bar. The problem is that this technique is not so secret and someone who is an experienced Excel user can right-click on any tab, select the hidden sheet and select Unhide. So you must find a solution to lock the Unhide option. It will be done by using Visual Basic. Don't be afraid, there is no need of programming as you can see. First of all, press Alt plus F11 to open Visual Basic Editor. Look in the project window, find the name of the workbook, and then look for the name of the sheet. Click it and notice that it displays the properties in the Properties window. Find the visible property and click on it. A down arrow appears. Click and see the 3 property values. We will select Sheet Very Hidden. Press Alt plus F11 again to return to the Excel program. The Hide to sheet doesn't appear on the tab bar. Let's right-click and search for Unhide option. It's colored gray, which it means we can't select it. Our job is done. To unhide the sheet, we have to follow the reverse procedure. Go to Visual Basic Editor, click Hide to and select the property back to visible. Again Alt plus F11 and we are ready. An extremely useful technique is to limit a specific scroll area, so if a user wants to click outside this area, he will not be able to. For this technique we will use a property through Visual Basic Editor called Scroll Area. Press Alt F11 to open the Visual Basic Editor. Highlight this worksheet and find from the Properties panel the Scroll Area box. Click here and type in the range you want to limit. Nice. Now press Alt F11 to go back to Excel. Try to click in a cell outside the specific range. You can't, of course. So we managed to block a user to interact outside a specific range. Thanks for A data with many rows and columns is, I think, very frequent, and most of the time the first row or first column contains the headers. So we want the first row to be still and to keep it visible while we scroll through the rest of the sheet. There is a feature in Excel called Freeze Pane. You can find it in View tab. Let's suppose you want to freeze the first row. Simply click on this button and select Freeze Top Row. Scroll up and down now. You always see row 1 at the top. What would happen if we wanted to freeze the first column instead the first row? Again, from Freeze Pane, click Freeze First Column. Column A is now visible. Notice that removes the freeze from row 1. An alternative is to freeze all columns and rows above a certain cell. For example, we want to freeze the rows 1 and 2 and also the columns A and B. Go to cell C3 and click Freeze Panes. The rest of the worksheet scrolls except the specific rows and columns. Another feature of Excel is to be able to split our screen. Let's see an example to understand it. Go to the middle of the screen and click somewhere there. Now from View tab, click Split button. You can see that the window is divided with a horizontal line into 2 different panes, and each one scrolls independently. Look at the result. This is useful when we want to compare data between them, for example values, dates, etc. Of course you can split the screen vertically, like this. A quick way to remove the split line is by double-clicking on it. Finally, there is a 4-way split, but I think it's unnecessary and confusing. If we have a cell with the result of a function or a formula, it would be useful sometimes to add an explanatory text beside the value. Look at cell N2. It's the result of this function. We want to add a text. How we can do that? The first step is to highlight the cells that we want to add the text. Then go to Home tab. Okay, click the down arrow at the bottom from Number section and click More Number Formats. A dialog box appears. Click Custom from Category Number and select 0 because we are interested in numbers. Here we can add our text. To do that, type a double quote and then a space. Now type in the text Udemy and again double quote. Click OK to apply the text. Look at the result. An easier trick to add text to a number. Sometimes you will need to compare many cells, for example the monthly sales of a year, with a value like your monthly sales goal. If the sales of a particular month exceed the monthly sales goal, then it will fill with a specific color. So you want to create a conditional formatting rule. The first step is to select the cells B2 to M5, in which the rule will apply. Then from Home tab and Style section, click Conditional Formatting and then New Rule. A new dialog box opens. Find the option Use a formula to determine which cells to format. Now you are ready to edit the rule description. But before that, click the Format button. Okay, choose Fill. And now select the fill color for any cells that exceeds the value in cell B7. Press OK. And we define the format for the cells that fit the rule. Click on this box and type in equal B2 greater equal to B7 with absolute reference. Notice that absolute reference is critical because I don't want the cell reference to change regardless of where I copy that reference. The formula is created and I click OK. Look, the cells that exceeds the B7 value, they are all filled with a green color. Also, I want to say that when I change the value in cell B7, the format is updated. Identifying the errors in your formulas is not an easy task, but with simple steps you can make it. The first step is to click the cell that contains the error, then go to Formulas tab, and in the Formula Auditing section, you can see a lot of options. The main selection is Error Checking. Click the down arrow and then Trace Error. Look at the tracer arrows, they are going back to cell G2, so you identify that the error is in this cell. You can remove arrows from this button, if you want. Now, we will try Error Checking. It opens a dialog box. It checks the worksheet and it identifies any errors that appears within there. On the left, there is useful information about the specific error. If we have more complex formulas, then the Show Calculation Steps button will help us. Another way to identify an error is through the Evaluate Formula button. Click on it, okay, and see the results. So that's an easy way to identify and fix errors inside of Excel formulas. If you work for a company, you may need to distribute your workbook to a co-worker or to a user. So if you want to hide all the formula cells on the worksheet, there are some steps that you must follow. First, you have to select all the formula cells. Select a cell. You can do it easily from Home tab, Find and Select, and go to Special option. A new dialog box appears. Select the formula option and make sure that all the boxes below are checked. After pressing OK, Excel selects all the formula cells. Now right-click on any of the selected cells and choose Format Cells. From Protection tab, check both the locked and hidden checkboxes. Click OK. You have to unlock all the non-formula cells the same way. Select a cell and from Home tab, find and select the Go to Special option. The dialog box appears. Select the Constants option and make sure that all the boxes below are checked. After pressing OK, Excel selects all the non-formula cells. Now right-click on any of the selected cells and choose Format Cells. From Protection tab, uncheck both the locked and hidden checkboxes. Click OK. The last and most important step is to protect the worksheet. From Reviews tab, click Protect Sheet. In the Protect Sheet dialog box, specify a password. Click OK and you will be prompted to re-enter the password. When you protect the worksheet, the user cannot insert rows or columns or change color width or create embedded charts. From there you can specify the actions that are allowed when the sheet is protected. After these steps, we have managed to hide our formulas. Leading mode in spaces can cause us big trouble. For example, a problem with leading spaces is when we want to sort a column. Look at this table. It has 7 columns. Let's try to sort the third column. Go to Home tab and from Sort and Filter button, select Sort A to Z. Of course, this sorting is totally wrong because these values have leading spaces. What are the steps to clean up these spaces? First of all, insert an empty column to the right of the column that has a problem. Right-click to column D and choose Insert. We will use Trim function. Trim can clean up all spaces like inside or leading spaces. So type equal, trim, parentheses, and cell C2. Press enter. The spaces have gone. Now double click on the lower right corner and we have the list free of spaces. Use the right mouse button to drag this list to the left. Select copy here as values only. Delete this column, we don't need it anymore. Trim function is the easiest way to get free of unwanted spaces, especially in large worksheets. Autocorrect can save you a ton of time and it's a really powerful shortcut. With autocorrect you can type a few letters or a short code of a phrase and Excel will show you the whole phrase. For example, you can type VAT, value added tax, and Excel will type value added tax. Let's see an example to understand the usefulness of autocorrect. To create an autocorrect entry, click the File tab and then click Options to display the Excel Options dialog box. Now click Proofing and then click Autocorrect Options. In the Autocorrect dialog box, you can create your own replacement for autocorrect. In this case, for the value added tax, I will type in VAT, VAT, press Tab, and then in the With box, I can type in the text that I want to replace. In this case, I will make it value added tax. And I will click Add. Click OK and OK again. Go to cell A1, type in VAT and enter. And magically VAT is converted into value added tax. So a great way to save time with phrases that you use frequently. The Paste Special feature is very powerful and yet very few Excel users uses it. There are 2 basic ways to see the Paste Special options. Look at this range with values. Highlight all of them and copy them. If you right-click to an empty cell, you will get a lot of options. Select for example Transpose. Transpose option can switch rows to columns or columns to rows. Undo with Ctrl Z. For Paste Special I prefer the keyboard shortcut, which is Ctrl plus Alt plus V. You see that it brings up the Paste Special dialog box much faster. Now I want to show you a real life example that I use. Let's suppose that we have sales from various companies and we want to increase all values by 10%. First of all, go to an empty cell and type 1.1. You will multiply the values by this number, which results in an increase of 10%. Then copy that cell. Highlight the range to be transformed. Press Ctrl Alt V to open the Paste Special dialog box. Click the multiply option and press OK. You can see that the values in the range are multiplied by the copied value. Similarly, you can use the 4 basic math operations like add, subtract, multiply and divide. Here worksheet with 2 columns, Product ID and Production Date. Go to A2 cell. When I position the mouse pointer over the fill handle in the first column, the mouse pointer changes into a black cross. If I hold down the left mouse button and drag, Excel extends the series. You can see that it repeats the number 1. So if I want to repeat a value, I have to follow this technique. Undo with Ctrl plus Z. Now, if I move the mouse pointer over the fill handle and hold down the Ctrl key, the black cross changes and there is a little black cross to the top right of it like an exponent. Try to drag down and see the result. The data series extends 2, 3, 4 and so on. So if you want to extend the series, hold down the control key and drag. Do again. Let's try to use fill handle with dates. Go to cell B2, hold down the left key mouse and drag. You can see that it goes up by a day each time I move down the cell. Now hold down the right key mouse and notice the autofill option button. Look how many different options I have. Copy cells, fill series, fill formatting, fill days, fill weekdays, fill months and fill years. Try fill months and see the result now. So you can see that the autofill options button is a very powerful tool. Look carefully at the data of this worksheet. There are some duplicate records like this and this one. There are many records in this sheet, so we have to find a better way to identify duplicate records and then get rid of these. You can use conditional formatting to quickly identify duplicate values in arrays. Let's get started. The first step is to highlight a certain column that contains duplicate records, like column A. You could highlight all the columns, of course. Go to Home tab, click on Conditional Formatting button, and then select the first choice, Highlight Cells Rules. There are some options here. We are interested in the last option, Duplicate Values. Look at the result. Excel highlighted all the duplicate cells immediately. Change the color if you want and press OK. Now your job is to get rid of these duplicate rows easily. Click anywhere within the data, go to Data tab and select Remove Duplicates. If you don't want to check duplicates in every single column, you can do this by uncheck the columns you want. Excel tells us that a number of duplicate values found and removed. Our job is done. Have you ever had a worksheet with many formulas and wanting to identify them easily? I bet you have. Look at this sheet. There are formulas spread all over the worksheet. I use two different techniques to identify these formulas. The first is from Home tab, to click the Find and Select button. There is an option called Formulas. Click on it and see that all cells with formulas are highlighted. This technique is fast but not reliable because if I write a new formula, the cell is not highlighted. A better method is by using conditional formatting. Here are the steps. First, select the entire worksheet. Then press the conditional formatting button. Let's create a new rule. Select the last option, use a formula to determine which cells to format. We are going to use a new function in Excel 2013 and 2016 of course, called isFormula. IsFormula function checks whether there is a reference to a cell that contains a formula and returns true or false. So type in equal isFormula, left parenthesis, A1, right parenthesis. Because we highlighted all the cells, A1 reference is for all the cells. Click Format and choose the right color for filling. OK and OK again. All cells that contain formulas are red. If I try to create a new formula now, like this, the cell is filled with red color. I think the second technique is more dynamic and better than the first, but the choice is always yours. Some formulas in a worksheet is fairly difficult to understand, so when a user looks at the result of a formula and then click on Formula bar to read the steps of the exact formula, it's difficult to understand it. A nice way to give information about the formula is to add comments inside them. To do that, I use the N function. So double click to edit the formula, click to the right of the formula and type the plus sign and then the letter N for the N function. Now type left parenthesis, double quotes, type in the comment you want, quotes again and close with the right parenthesis. Enter. As you can see, when I highlight the cell, the comment is displayed in the formula bar. Flash powerful new feature of Excel 2013 that can help you when you need to enter a lot of repetitive information. FlashFill recognizes a pattern in your data and works best when your data has some consistency. For example, in this worksheet we have two columns, one with the customer name and one with the customer order ID. Notice that in the first column they typed in the first and then the last name of each customer, so we cannot sort our list by last name. In previous versions of Excel, we could convert text to column from this button, from Data tab. In Excel 2013 and 2016, the flash fill feature is much better and faster. Go to an empty column and click on cell C2. Type in Edwards, which is the last name, and then Baker, which is the first name, and enter. For the next name, I will type Howell Wong. Excel recognizes the pattern and is being displayed in the background in gray. Press enter and Excel uses flash fill to fill in those values. Flash fill is an amazing time saver feature and you have to use it as often as you can. Often we want to increase or decrease the values of a list of numbers by adding or subtracting a fixed number. Other times we want to multiply them by a percentage to calculate a discount or an increment. These tasks can be done without writing formulas. Let's say for example that we want to add number 10 in each number of this data list. Go to an empty cell, for example A10, write 10, copy that, select the data that we want to change and press Ctrl plus Alt plus V. The Paste Special dialog box appears. Choose Add and OK. Look at the numbers now. They are all increased by 10. Well done. Delete 10, we don't need it anymore. And let's do another example. Now we want to increase all the numbers by 20%. Type in this empty cell 1.2 and copy it. Select the data again and from Paste button select Paste Special. Double click on Multiply and the values were changed. A user should write in the data of the worksheet without moving around using the horizontal and vertical scroll bars. So it will be useful to hide these scroll bars and also the sheet tabs. Let's get started. Go to File tab and then click Options. The Excel Options dialog box opens. Click Advanced and scroll all the way down until you find the display option for this workbook. Uncheck these three checkboxes and press OK. The scroll bars and sheet tabs disappeared. Of course, if you want to scroll down, you can do it by pressing the down arrow key from your keyboard. You can also use Ctrl Page Up or Ctrl Page Down to change worksheets. Finally, you can restore the scroll bars and sheet tabs doing the same steps. There are different methods and level of protection. For example, you can protect all the contents of your workbook. You can allow others to open your workbook as read-only. You can protect the structure of a workbook. You can protect a sheet or a specific part of a sheet. Let's get started. Here we have a workbook with a sheet called Blob. First of all, we will learn how to fully protect your workbook. Go to File, Info, Protect Workbook, Encrypt with Password. This selection means that no one can open the Excel file unless they have the password and they can't view the contents. Of course, there are some third-party tools or programs that can crack your password, but it's very difficult, especially if your password is long with a combination of upper-lower characters, symbols and numbers. Let's insert an easy password for our lesson. For example, 1234. Re-enter it. And OK. Great. Now save the file and let's try to open it. Enter the correct password, which is 1234 for our demo, and voila! To cancel the protection, you can go to File and erase the password. OK, save, and password protection has been deleted. Next is to learn how to allow others to open your workbook as read-only. We can do that directly by clicking the Save As option, choose a folder, and from the Tools button at the bottom right corner, General Options, you can provide a password for read-only here or to modify. OK, and save. To take away that security, you have to do the same steps and delete the password. Now we are going to learn how to protect the structure of a workbook, which means you can't delete or add a new worksheet, for example. To do that, go to File, Info, Protect Workbook, and Protect Workbook Structure. Give a password. I leave it empty for now. OK, and as you can see, I can't add a new sheet or copy the current one. Nice, let's remove our protection and move on. Next is to protect a worksheet, but first let's copy this sheet, so we will have two of them. Right click, move or copy, create a copy, and OK. Rename it to Protect Sheet and enter. Now go to Review tab from Ribbon, find and click the Protect Sheet button. You will put a password here. I'll leave it empty for now. And as you can see, all these options are selected by default. Keep in mind that these are allowed to do in the specific sheet, although the sheet is protected. I leave them as they are and click OK. You can click anywhere, but if you try to modify or delete a cell, for example, you will see the message that says it's protected sheet, and to unprotect it, you will need a password, which I didn't put. Great! Unprotect the sheet by clicking again to this button and click again. Now we are going to uncheck all these and leave them empty. And OK, now I can click anywhere, and in general I can't do anything in my worksheet. So these selections are very important if you want to send Excel templates to people and allow them to change specific formats of your Excel file. A great way to allow specific ranges of your sheet unprotected, the notes column for example, is to first highlight the range and click the button Allow users to edit ranges. Then click on New, give a range title, for example input here, the area that is allowed to edit, and finally put a password for people to modify this, optional of course. Do not forget to protect the sheet now, it's very important. Let's do it. And OK, as you can see it works. All these protection methods work with shapes or charts as well. I hope that you learned a lot of options to control the protection of your Excel files and minimize the mistakes for your co-workers or employees.
I hope you enjoyed this lesson. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already, so that you can get updates when I put out new videos here. I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video tutorial.